All right, so you've decided you're moving to Austin, Texas, and when you're looking for a house, you want to take schools into account, but you don't know anything about the schools in Texas. You don't know anything about the schools in the Austin area. Guys, this is the video for you. In this video, what I'm going to talk about is schools in Texas, and I'm going to talk about the general setup of public schools. I'm going to talk about a lot of the school and the school districts around Austin, and I'm even going to talk a little bit about sports and extracurricular activities and what you can expect when you're moving here and you're putting your children into one of these schools. So let's get started with this video right now.
Okay, next major thing that I want to talk about is something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about when they're moving to Austin, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the school districts that you're going to find and how school districts work in Texas. So for the most part, your larger towns, San Marcos, Lockhart, Bastrop, Dripping Springs, Johnson City, Marble Falls, all of these places, Georgetown, Leander, they're all going to have their own school district. Okay, so you'll see Hutto ISD, Taylor ISD, Bastrop ISD, Elgin ISD. Okay, Austin is going to have its own school district. It is a huge school district, guys. So when you're considering where you want your kids to potentially go to school, and I'm not going to get into. There's also a ton of private schools in Austin and around and in the smaller towns, but I'm just going to talk more generally about the school districts themselves. The public school districts. So when you're considering a town, if you go to greatschools.org, you'll search by basically the town name. So it'll be Austin ISD, Bastrop ISD, Elgin ISD, and that's how you would decide, if that's a good area for you to look for schools. Now, one major difference is if you see here with Kyle and Buda are going to be contained in what's called a consolidated district, and it's called Hayes Consolidated School District or Hayes Consolidated ISD. So if you're looking on the south side of town, you won't be able to find Buda ISD or Kyle ISD. It'll be Hayes Consolidated ISD. Now, going back to when you're dealing with the smaller towns, okay, you're going to be in smaller school districts. You're depending on the size of the town. Johnson City small, Blanco small. Those are going to be really, really small schools. You're going to be, probably in the 1A to 2A, possibly 3A, and that just talks about how many kids are in the high school, and that's how they set up for sports. So you're competing. The city or the school districts compete against other towns that have similar size schools, so that you're competing against the same number of kids and stuff like that. So those are going to be your smaller ones. Now, when you start looking at Austin, first of all, Austin has got, I believe it's 13 high schools. Now, most of those high schools are going to be either 4, 5, or 6A. So those are large high schools. And then when you get into some of the closer cities, Dripping Springs, for example, is a 6A high school. That's the largest high school in the state of Texas. Lakeway is Lake Travis ISD. That's a 6A high school. Westlake is right here. That's a 6A high school. Cedar Park has multiple 5 and 6A high schools. So does Round Rock, Leander. Georgetown's got 2 6A high schools. Bastrop, I believe, has got 2 5A high schools at this point. So you kind of get the idea. If you want a smaller school experience for your kids, you're going to be looking in the outlying areas: Marble Falls, Johnson City, Blanco, Taylor, Hutto, Liberty Hill, Lago Vista, right down in this area. Lago Vista is a little bit smaller. I think it's a 4A at this point. But if you want a smaller town experience for your kids, that's where you're going to be. If you want a larger, more diverse experience, you're going to be looking in the larger ISDs. You're going to be looking in Austin ISD, again, Dripping Springs, Westlake, Lake Travis, Cedar Park, Round Rock, Leander, Georgetown, Bastrop, those type of things. Okay. Likewise, if you want your kids to participate in a lot of activities, you're probably going to be looking for smaller schools for that to happen. I used to be a teacher. My wife was a teacher. We both taught in Austin ISD. And when you get into the large schools, kids and the parents tend to want them to try to specialize a little bit. I'm not going to throw my own personal thoughts or opinions into it, but that's just kind of what tends to happen in the larger schools. So if you want your kids to have a different experience, the experience to be in involved in a lot of different clubs, a lot of different activities, maybe multiple sports, 3, 4, 5 sports. The way that I grew up, again, you're going to be, looking potentially in the outlying areas, smaller school districts. Not saying that they can't be more involved in these smaller, or in the larger districts in multiple sports, and they can, but it's just more common in those outlying areas.